everyone. Today we have a very special guest from Best Marketing. It's a good friend of mine. I first met him a couple time back at a mastermind called Super Scaling, and I heard, that's when I came to know about SEO, and I realized that it's a very powerful tool that not a lot of marketers talk about. Like people talk about paid ads and social media, email, but SEO is something that is untapped gem. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on my interview guest today, Jim. Yeah. So
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Alvin. Pleasure to
yeah,
be here.
pleasure. Yeah. So yeah, tell us, Jim. Who are you and what business do you start?
Yeah, so I run a marketing agency. We help our clients get more clients. So we primarily focus on paid ads and also search engine optimization. We started out just only doing search engine optimization. Obviously, that grew into the other suite of services, which is Facebook ads, Google search ads, and of course, we do website design, landing page design, anything that's required for us to run paid traffic and also run search engine optimization campaigns. So yeah, in short, our mission is really to become like the most powerful platform for getting customers online. And that's what we pride ourselves on doing.
Wow. And how long have you been running this agency?
Yeah, so we've been doing it for close to 4 years. I started in my bedroom. Ironically, this is the bedroom.
Oh my God.
And we went
Wow.
through a whole phase of like moving into a physical office for 2 years, and then we figured out that that wasn't kind of the lifestyle that my wife and I wanted to lead, because my wife actually runs the business together with me. And then we found that like we wanted a more like remote work from home kind of setup, not just for ourselves but even for our team. Because like ultimately what the pandemic has shown is that, a lot of the team members, are very accustomed to that kind of lifestyle, and they really want to be in a place whereby they're close to their family members as well.
Understand. And is this like your first business, or before that you were doing another business, or were you working in corporate or job?
Yeah, so I definitely had a couple of other jobs in the past. When I was like in first or second year of uni, I would say first year of university, after I came out from national service, I worked at a job. I worked at kind of like a part-time job, right? I was working as an insurance agent. I was going door to door selling insurance. I was that pest that would come to your door knocking and say like, hey, have you done
Yeah.
your ManyShield life upgrade? I was that guy. Okay, I was like knocking on doors, and I was also the guy that was approaching people at MRT stations to kind of sell them stuff. And that was like kind of like a cold hard slap to the face, right? To say that like, look, is this what you want to be doing for the rest of your life, or is there a way to scale this, right? And that was when I found myself, kind of falling into the rabbit hole of digital marketing. Like there must be a more scalable way of doing this, right? Like instead of
Yeah.
like approaching people kind of, one at a time, like is there a way that I can approach like 1,000 people at a time, right? Like instead of approaching one, can I do 1,000, right, every hour? So I think that was like what really kind of opened up my eyes towards like the whole world of digital marketing, to say that hey, if I had troubles getting customers for myself as an insurance agent, like is there a better way to do this? And that was exactly what I found out. Like there is indeed a better way to do this, and I found myself like going through tons of YouTube videos, like trying to learn how to do digital marketing. And yeah, that's what brought me to this stage.
But I'm sure, like, because I heard from a lot of entrepreneurs that also used to do door to door sales. They say yes, it's very tough, but I'm sure like it did help you guys learn a lot of valuable lessons. Like, because I can imagine like most people, especially Singaporeans, they are very introverted, very shy, right? They think of go up to the person and say, "Wow, they rather just I don't know, they rather I don't know, eat dog food or something, right?" So I'm not
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yeah, I would say it definitely builds character. I would say that, it's a character building exercise, right? It really helps you to kind of be that extroverted version of yourself, to really push beyond boundaries, to go out there and kind of approach people. And I think that a lot of people take it for granted, right? They kind of like, oh, I could just stay within my comfort zone of just, be in my own bubble, just staying at home and just getting my job done or whatever it might be, or just studying or whatever. But like at the end of the day, like it was a character building exercise for me. I learned a lot. I learned how to approach people. I learned how to be kind of shameless, right? In that sense, like going out there, approaching random people, and then really just starting a conversation with them. And I think that that is also a skill set, right? As much as it sounds weird, like how is that a skill set? But realistically, I think that as entrepreneurs, you typically you go out there and you kind of find a lot of scenarios where you really have to, reach out to somebody, right? Whether it's selling something or whether it's like collaborating with somebody or whether it's like, pitching somebody to join your team and kind of selling them on why this is the right place for them to work at. I think like that really creates a lot of resilience, and it does, I would say, like equip you with the skill set on how to communicate effectively to, go out to the marketplace and, go about your entrepreneurial activities, quote unquote.
Yeah, well said, man. And I'm sure like a lot of entrepreneurs also feel like one of the key traits of starting a business is to just be very thick-skinned. Or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like just bounce back, come back, bounce back, come back, springboard, right?
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
And how long did that period last when you were doing insurance as a student before you discovered the better way, the YouTube video, the digital marketing? How long did that phase last?
Yeah, that lasted for like 1 year. And then after about a year, because when I first enrolled into university, I was there for a year as well. And then 1 year in, I was like, you know what? I want to stop university, and just see, and go out there and get a job, right? And then that was exactly what I did. I left the insurance industry, and then I went to find a corporate job. Ironically, not ironically, but more appropriately, I worked at a digital marketing agency first, to accumulate some experience. So I was there for about 6 months, and then I decided that, you know what, like it's time for me to start my own. And then I went ahead and do that. With the skill sets that I've acquired over that period of time, I went ahead to start, and just never look back from there.
So you didn't end up going back to school.
No. So I went out to kind of like took uh like 1 year of leave of absence.
Gap year, yeah,
When I went out there to get a corporate job, and then I extended that leave of absence for another year. And then after that, after 2 years, they were like, "Hey Jim, you gotta come back to school. Otherwise, we can't slot you in anymore because the maximum leave of absence that you can take is 2 years." And then I was like, you know what? I'm not coming back. All right. And then I
Oh,
went ahead to pay the $20,000 that I owed them. I was like, take the money, and then off I went. Because I was like,
wow.
I mean, I mean, I'm not trying to like brag or anything, but like
Yeah.
realistically, I felt that I was making more than what a fresh, kind of like entry level graduate was making at that point in time. I think it would be about 6 to 7 thousand dollars a month. I was making way beyond that. I was probably bringing like 15 to 20K plus a month. And then I felt that, look, logically, like what's the purpose of university? What's the purpose of college? What's the purpose of school? It is to make money, right? So
Yeah.
like I just went down that thought process to think like if that's the outcome that I'm trying to achieve, then there's no point in going back to school.
Well said, man. Yeah. I think like especially like I think in Singapore it's just that we're very boxed in and like, the society conform us that we need to all go through that 4 year route and get a job, right? But obviously I think with the internet, YouTube videos, that is more than enough education for you to actually start a business. So in summary, it was a 1 year insurance. Then after that, you told your school, okay, let me just I want to go and work. Let me figure out this digital marketing thing, 6 months. And then after that, oh, you realize, yeah, I'm not going back anymore. I'm just going to start my own company.
Yeah, so yeah, that was exactly what happened.
Wow. I love it, man. That is amazing. So, how did you guys launch this? Like, how do you launch your offer when you first started? Like, because it's the first time that you're running, I think, a full scale business. So, how do you launch your offer? And how did you land your first client after you left that previous digital marketing agency?
Yeah, so the offer that I came up with was not new. It was basically like just looking at what the competitors were offering. And then I was just seeing like, okay, how much were they charging a month? Did they offer any guarantees? How long was the minimum contract period? What was the scope of the service? Right? And then just by studying what the competition was doing, I launched, I would say an entry level kind of product, right? Like it was really cheap. I was charging next to nothing. I was charging like $500 a month retainer, and then I made it like a commitment period of like 6 months. And that was the first offer. And then what I did was I started sending out a couple of cold emails. And then I think probably within like the first 2 weeks, I landed the first client. And yeah, the rest was kind of like, okay, in between the cold email outreach, I was also doing cold calls. So I was probably doing about like 50 to 75 cold calls a day. Just like calling people that were like on the second page of Google onwards. I was calling like chiropractors, I was calling like pest control companies, I was calling, like wedding planners. Like basically all the service-based industries, and anyone that was like ranking on the second page onwards of Google, and I was saying like, look, I could get you to the first page of Google. And this is what these are 5 things that you could immediately implement to get yourself on the first page of Google, like kind of like giving free advice, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And just giving, yeah, correct, just giving free value in advance, right? And then that was what really intrigued them to kind of pick up that phone call, reply to that cold email, and that was how I landed the first client within, I would say, within the first 2 weeks. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and that's a lot of volume also. I think a lot of people, like when they try out, they send out 10 emails or they call 10 people and then they're, oh no, this doesn't work, and then they give up. But it's because I think you persisted and you had that volume also that helped you guys to get results in a way pretty fast, right? Like 2 weeks, I think it's pretty amazing to get your first customer.
Yeah, look, I think that like it kind of came from a point of like, I've done it in the insurance industry, in the sense that like I knocked on $100 a day. Like even $100 is not even a lot, to be honest. Like realistically, if I pushed, I could probably do like $500 a day. But keep in mind that not every door will be open, right? Like not, you know what I mean? Like you can't go out the door and like expect that person to open, because there are times where they're not around, or even like it's not a good fit. Like that person is just like not physically fit or something. Like they can't actually do business with you. You know what I mean? Like if that's the case, then we'll just move on to the next one, right? Or like if the person doesn't understand English, or like they only speak Mandarin or Cantonese or Hokkien or something, then obviously just move on to the next prospect. So it's also as important to disqualify as it is to qualify the prospects, right? Like just because they're on the second page of Google doesn't necessarily mean that they are a good fit, right, for what it is that you're offering, because it might be like an expectation mismatch. It might be a budget mismatch. It might be they are not even at a point whereby they are ready to take in more leads, right? Like it could be an operational issue, like what I mean. So there's all these moving parts that I think, like, as important as it is to qualify, it's also important to disqualify. And that was what I found out the hard way as well, when I kind of like started taking on clients that are not a good fit, and after a while they kind of canceled, or we found that there was this mismatch in expectations. And ultimately, there were instances where we even go out there to kind of refund all the management fee that we have collected for a lot of our clients that we have served as well.
And especially like what you said, you learn it the hard way. Which I feel like this interview is so valuable, because to a lot of people that want to start a business, your knowledge will really save them like so much time and shortcut. And I certainly felt the same way when I do email marketing for my own clients, and I had issues where I realized like, oh my god, just because I closed the deal doesn't mean that I should take the money, because also there are occasions where I realized like this customer is just not a good fit. And it's nothing to do with my service. It's just that maybe they haven't found their product market fit or the stage just isn't ready for them to grow. And I just can't get them the best results. So it's super, honestly, such a waste of time for both parties. So I like what
Yeah.
you said about the importance of this qualification, because I think there's a lot of people that talk about how, oh, you just need to close. There's so much advice by these gurus that say
Yeah.
you need to close, and you need to just get the money and think about it later. It's also, I don't really think like that's true, to be honest. Yeah, I really think it's like a sniper approach. Yeah.
Correct. And I think it's way more important to disqualify than to qualify, to be honest, because like it will save you a lot of heartache in the future. Like you do want to be serving like nightmare clients, and you don't want to like receive a phone call, in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. and then like somebody trying to
It
complain.
happened to
I'm
you?
not saying that didn't happen to me, by
Oh,
the
I
way,
thought
but
it happened to you.
I've heard stories
Oh
of
man,
other
3 a.m.
like of other like marketing agencies that had to go through that. And to me that's like a bit wow, like this is an eye opener for me. And it didn't happen to me, fortunately. But I have definitely heard stories from friends, from other marketers that has went through that experience.
And talking about what you just shared, right? It just came to me, like there's this other like valuable insight, which is like you we learned the importance of also targeting, right? Because I like what you said. When you first started, right, you didn't just go straight up cold calling any random business, right? Which is what I think a lot of people would do. You said you look for service-based businesses that will rank on the second page of Google. So that's very, very specific. So you kind of, in a way, already found a market that has a problem, because the fact that they're on the second page already means that they want to get to the first page. Probably if they want to get more customers, they have some basic understanding already. So you already did that research. Whereas like I
Yeah.
still see today, right? Even when I go to the MRT station, like I go posting, I will see insurance agents or even fitness companies just handing out flyers, and people will just pick it and right after that throw it away, because
Yeah.
they are not targeted. They are not people that are interested in what you do. So I think that itself is also like very a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. For
And
sure.
and actually, I'm interested when you talk about the minimum commitment, right? You said 6 months. Isn't that like kind of a stretch for a lot of like clients, or especially like business owners in Singapore? I'm not sure, like, how do you get them to commit for 6 months? Because usually I thought agencies, they do maybe a trial or maybe 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think search engine optimization or SEO is something that's dramatically different from paid traffic, right? Paid traffic, I could run, the campaign tomorrow, and for the next 2 weeks, you will be seeing leads coming in. Whereas for SEO is much more different. It requires, like typically a 6 to 12 months period in order for you to see any kind of results, because you can't just convince Google overnight that your website should really be on page one of Google, right? They need to see some signals like backlinks. They need to see things like content. They need to see things like content refresh. They need to see a gradual trend towards the backlinks that are being built as well. So I think that's kind of the reason why. And to answer the first part of the question, is like, how do you convince businesses? Well, I think it's kind of like this is part of objection handling, right? Like, how do you handle an objection? So typically, in my opinion, what good salespeople do is that whenever a question is being raised or whenever an objection is being raised, you ask the client back a question so that they can arrive at the conclusion themselves, so rather than me trying to educate you, or rather than me trying to fight with you on who's right and who's wrong. Because a convincing argument doesn't even have to take place when the prospect or the client themselves can arrive at the conclusion themselves, rather than me trying to kind of wrestle with them like, hey, my opinion is correct, yours is wrong. Like, so instead of doing that, right, for instance, in this scenario whereby they raise the objection of, look, it's 6 months, can it be shorter? Then typically what I will do is I will ask the client, let me ask you this, let's say Irvin, you're the client. Let me ask you this, Irvin. For your mobile phone plan, how long is the contract?
Wow. I think mobile phone is at least 2 years.
2 years, right? So why are you willing to pay it for 2 years?
Um, because I think that's the bare minimum. I don't think they offer anything less than that. And of course, I need to use my phone every day, so I just have to do it.
Correct. And this is something that you have to do consistently for 6 months in order for your website to be on the first page of Google for you to get an additional 20 to 50 high quality leads.
Oh,
So do you
so
see why this is a process that requires time?
oh, that's very smart. The
Yeah,
mobile
so
plan,
just
yeah.
just linking it to an analogy, right? Or even like even if you don't want to link it to an analogy, right? You can just say like, okay, then why do you think there are other clients that are willing to take up this, offer of being waiting for 6 months? I don't know, maybe because it works. You know what I mean? Like just let them arrive at the conclusion themselves rather than you trying to convince them.
Mm. Yeah, there's a saying, right? Like people will always believe themselves more than anyone else, regardless, even if that person is poor of an expert. It's like a selfish human bias. So
Correct.
that's a very good sales masterclass right there. Okay, cool. So after that, right? What have you guys done after you land that first client, right? Like walk us through what have you guys been doing to like attract more customers, retain them, grow up the business? Like, how has that phase been like?
Yeah, yeah. So what we did was we obviously did SEO on our own website. Because the last thing I'll do is like, you know, do SEO for your clients, and then you yourself are not even ranking on page one of Google. That would be
Oh,
an absolute
oh
red
no.
flag, right? So right now, if you go and search for some terms that are related to SEO services on Google, you'll be able to find our website on the first page of Google. So any kind of SEO services that has the keyword Singapore inside as well. So like SEO Singapore or like best SEO Singapore, that kind of thing, or lead generation Singapore. Our website will be on the first page of Google, the old website, which is bestseo.sg, before we rebranded into bestmarketing.com.sg. And that was, I would say, something that we really invested quite heavily in to achieve that result. And then on top of that, we also tried running paid traffic as well. We ran some Google ads, Google search ads. We ran some Facebook ads, Instagram ads as well. And that really did, generate quite a good volume of leads coming in. We stopped all that effort at the current point in time. We just let the SEO do its thing now, because what we're trying to fix at the current juncture in our business, or not fix, but to kind of optimize on at the moment, is to kind of hire and build out a team to go and handle the demand, because we have a large volume of leads. We don't actually need more leads. We do need like a solid team that can handle the client and service each client well at the moment.
Especially like when you're a service company, I think it's not like you said, you not just it's not enough just to have a lot of customers, but you need to have the right infrastructure to support that. Because otherwise, like you said, people will refund and churn. I think like that is also a very important part of the business that I don't think a lot of people talk about these days. Client success, like
Yeah, so I always like to look at it as uh, it's so much more costlier to acquire a new customer than to actually service your existing client and get recurring revenue from them. So like if we could just optimize the existing clientele and make them really, really successful, ultimately they will also refer, a lot of clients to you, whereby your acquisition cost is basically zero, right? And that is something that I think like I realized probably like 1 to 2 years into the business, after we started getting way more referrals, and then we were like, oh, you know what? Actually, we really need to double down and make the system very dialed in into servicing our existing clientele.
and how long did it take you guys after you land that first client, right? Back then, I think you said it was just you and your wife. Like,
Yeah.
how do y'all manage that transition? Transition, because at the start, I'm sure like it's the cash flow is not stable. It's not to say like a
Mm.
lot of money, right? Usually $500. So, uh, were y'all both all in at that point, or like your wife had a full-time job? How did y'all
Yeah, we we
go
were
through
we
that?
were 100% in the business already. Like we were not doing anything else. This was like full-time job at that point. So yeah, we kind of like at a certain point we stopped obviously like charging 500, right? We started increasing our prices. We started charging 1,000, started charging 1,008. And then there were some accounts that we were charging like 2.5k, 5k as well. And obviously that kind of like I mean, if you want to charge higher, obviously deliver more value, right? So we increased the value proposition that we brought to the table. We included more things in the scope of work, and we delivered phenomenal results, which were why like a lot of the clients like continue to stick with us. Some of the clients that we served like the very first year of our business are still around today.
Oh my god.
And some of them are kind of like good friends as well even. And I think they really see the value that we bring, that we deliver, that we're not just a marketing agency. We're also going out there to kind of brainstorm and give that additional advice in terms of whether it's like to pivot their offer, to kind of refine the offer, to kind of really like be in the front lines, like trying to give them that edge, right? Like for instance, like I always share, or rather, we even share with the business owners or entrepreneurs themselves, the clients, right? To like, how do you hire, right? How do you manage a remote team? How do you like increase the LTV of your business, right? What kind of one-time offer should we be launching? What kind of like stuff should we put on the thank you page, on the kind of the checkout page as well, right? To increase the LTV, right? What kind of OTO1, OTO2 we have to make, and then what kind of like positioning do we have to put? What kind of guarantee should we be offering? Should we give a free trial? Should we not give a free trial? What's the LTV of this? So it's like we're constantly testing stuff. And I think that that's what most clients want. They want like a partner that is able to kind of guide them every step of the way, rather than just like having a service provider that's kind of like, here's my job, and then once I'm done the job, off I go, right? I think typically that's what most clients want. They want that close working relationship, and that's what we are here to deliver.
Wow, I like it, man. And it feels like more, like you also said, like the relationship is much more, they see you as not just like you said, a service provider, but an expert. I think the keyword is an expert and a friend that actually cares about the
Right.
business. Because like I think a lot of agencies in the space, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of, because that day I was talking to this local tuition center, and she was like saying like how, agencies are all sharks and always getting burned, and they're very scared, and it just feels like a lot of agencies, they just treat it as like just take the money, serve, and off I go, get the next client. But I feel like you're very different from the rest, because the way you position yourself is like a friend and a trusted advisor. And I like what you said. It's not even about the service that you do, like SEO, even though like you do SEO, you do ads, you do lead generation, but you actually said you look at their offer, you look at the entire customer journey, how to maximize the LTV, right, the lifetime value. That is like very, very, I mean, when some people, but it can be pretty advanced, that even most like local business owner might not even understand what is that about. But it's so important, because like, right, when you understand like LTV, then you know what is the maximum amount I can spend to get a customer. Like that is so valuable, right? You will have information over your competitors. Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. Is there anything else other than this? You mentioned like going above and beyond giving. Like, anything else that help you guys to really attract and also retain customers?
I think that in the early days, I made it a point to kind of at least form some form of a personal connection or relationship with each client, to really get to understand their business, better and deeper, so that we can kind of tailor our advice to really match the current stage of business that they are in. I think that was something that really helped us keep our retention rate at a higher rate. And then the other thing was like, I took it as a learning opportunity each time we dropped a client. Like for instance, there was this story where there was this particular client that accused us of generating fake leads. So he was trying to imply that we submitted fake leads through his through the website form on his landing page. But what he didn't understand was that he was trying to make that basis of comparison between a referral lead or a walk-in lead that came into his business with an online generated lead that came through like cold traffic. Like, you know what I mean? So he was trying to say that all these are scam leads because they are low quality, right? Like you're trying to compare a walk-in or referral lead to a lead that came through cold traffic, whether it's Facebook or Google Ads. Like, you know what I mean? So that was the accusation that was made. And I think that gave us that learning point to add into the expectations side of things when we are onboarding new clients. So like now whenever we onboard new clients, we tell them that look, this process is gonna generate you leads. However, the quality of leads might not necessarily be the same as a referral lead, which you are accustomed to. Like, are you willing to kind of, accept that there is adjustments that are required? So it's all about expectations, right? How do you set the expectations and how do you manage the expectations moving forward with the clients? And this applies to any industry that you're in, right? Not just in my space, obviously. And I think that was a pivotal moment for us to, understand that each time there's a setback, we should not just more than bitch about the client and say that it's a bad client. No, I don't think that's the correct. That's not a healthy way of looking at it. But like a healthy way of looking at it would be like, okay, this happened, right? How can we? The question we should be asking ourselves: how can we prevent it from happening again in the future? And try to understand from the client's position, like why did the client think that? And I think that really like will help to improve your retention rates regardless of the industry that you're in.
Yeah, you gotta over communicate your expectations, and sometimes when you're so honest, right, then the client will realize like, wow, the fact that he's so honest, right, even though saying this, right, actually would technically is supposed to make me not want to work with him. But the fact that he said it now it makes you seem as an expert because you know what you're doing, and you're doing it literally for the sake of his business, not yours, which is actually in a way pretty powerful in like sales also.
Yeah,
But yeah, cool. And do you guys do any kind of like offline marketing? I mean, since you guys, I understand you're like online marketing, but do you also do any offline marketing for yourself when it comes to like getting customers? Do you guys do flyers or road shows or events or you know?
Yeah, so we don't do that. We definitely just focus on the digital channels.
Yeah,
Because
it's
like
your bread and butter.
yeah, it's kind of like if you pitch your clients why you should do digital marketing for their business, you obviously want to be doing digital marketing for your own business as well. You kind of like you want to eat your own medicine that you prescribe, right? Like it will be weird for me to kind of do traditional marketing if I don't even do traditional marketing for my clients, right? So like I think that is kind of the perspective that I'm taking, but I'm not saying that we don't. Like there are certain ways that I do kind of like try to build a personal brand or like social proof and stuff like that. Like I try to get some interviews on Money FM, and I did. And I also got an article that was featured on Today Online that was kind of for the business and myself. And that was off kind of like I wouldn't say offline. I mean, in a way, it's offline, right? It's like not directly attributed to performance marketing or like SEO. But I did go out there to pitch like journalists on Today Online and also a Money FM producer. So that's how I got featured.
Oh, and were those like paid features or it's free?
No,
Like
it's organic. It's free. It's free.
wow, that's nice. And how was the results like after you got featured? Like, do you see experience in like the business? Like the traffic went up?
I would say that you get an influx of leads and traffic like 1 to 2 days after the radio show was
Yeah.
being published, and then I got like something like 10 leads
Wow.
the next day or something, and then like the Today Online article the next day probably like 5 to 10 leads also. But after that it just died down. But
Ah,
yeah, but it's fine, right? Like, I think it's also like the social proof,
yeah.
the bragging rights, quote unquote, like you can put on your website, like as seen on Money FM or whatever, right? Like I don't know, like I don't think that makes a huge difference to be honest, but I think that it's just something that, you know, it's worth getting, I guess, like worth exploring in some ways. Like these are like kind of the minute 1%ers when it comes to, you know, like clients, right? Like clients look at all these kind of small little details, especially for the enterprise level clients, right? If it's like
Yeah.
a listed company or something, and then like the procuring manager or the purchaser or whatever, like they try to compare between like three agencies, and then they see like, oh, one agency, you know, operating out of his bedroom, and then one agency is like has a big
Office.
ass office, and then the last agency, you know, doesn't have any features or whatever. Like I don't know, like they look at all these things, and for me, it's like if I can get it, why not? Yeah,
And have you guys worked with any publicly listed companies? That is that you're sharing from the
there
experience?
is but we are obviously on non-disclosure agreements,
Of
so
course.
we can't share what those companies are.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But in terms of like getting, cause like it's very different from like getting like a local business and like a very big corporate kind of like publicly listed company. So like let's say for like business owners or people that aspire to also get this kind of very high level clients, like what kind of like advice would you give them? Like what is like the difference?
Well, I think that the opportunity will come knocking your door organically once the word gets out that you're delivering results. So I don't think that should be something that you actively go and procure. I mean, you can, right? If you're, can you just imagine, like, if let's say you are working for like a big boy agency like Group M or, you know, Dentsu or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Like PHD
Vayner,
or whatever.
Vayner Media.
Yeah, yeah. If let's say you're working for a big boy agency and you have all these connections and you have, you know, you're one call away from Nike, you're one call away from Adidas, you're one call away from Puma. Go. I'm not saying like I'm not stopping you from doing that. Like go and do that. But I am saying that if like you are just kind of landing like a few local clients, the small mom and pop shop kind of clients, right? Like the small local businesses, and then you want to ascend to that stage. I think that the opportunity will come knocking to your door one day if you do marketing. Like if you just rank organically on the first page of Google, if you just ran Google search ads, if you just ran Facebook ads, and your name goes out there, like they will come naturally.
Like for you guys,
Yeah,
that's literally what happened. You guys just
yeah, that's
focus
literally
on
what
what
happened.
you do and they came knocking on your door.
Yeah, like that was literally what happened.
Wow.
Like all these people that I talked about, right? They would search on Google as well. Like whether it's the admin or the HR or the procurement manager or the purchaser or whatever, right? They would also use Google as a way of like searching for vendors as well. So when
Wow.
they go on Google and search for vendors and they see your result, they are gonna click on yours and compare with two or three other companies and see who is the best fit. And that's how we landed those deals as well.
Wow. I guess it's like this is not the testimonial of how powerful SEO is. I don't know what is really. Wow, even publicly listed companies.
Yeah,
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 you
for
get it
sure.
for SEO. It's amazing. Okay, wow. And next question would be like in terms of like because I know you've been running this company for 4 years already. There's a lot of
Yeah,
I'm sure ups and downs. Walk us through like what
definitely
is
countless.
yeah, I think if we keep going on, I think this interview cannot end really. But what would you say right out of all these experiences right in the past 4 years, what has been like your toughest challenge that you guys face when you run this business and how do you overcome it?
Well, I would say that the biggest challenge is in finding good people. And it's obviously still a challenge that we face today. I always, you know, kind of believe that like once you scale the business to a certain point, you wanna make yourself redundant, right? So that the business can autopilot by itself. And I think that you really need good people for that. And for an agency business, like our products are our people, right? Like the people that we employ and the people that we hire are the people that will be running the show. So I think finding good people remains to be the biggest challenge that we have. Like we are fighting with all these, you know, other companies, whether it's not just agencies, but even like in-house companies, in-house marketers, right, for the best talent that's available out there in the market.
Yes.
And I think how we I won't even say that how we overcame them, but like we are in the process of overcoming these challenges. Excuse me. It's just to understand that like first of all, like you need to make sure that the hygiene factor is there, which is to pay them above market rates, obviously. And then second of all is like really being able to sell them the vision of why they should really join the company. And third of all is again, right, it's much like the client acquisition thing. It's also as important to disqualify them as it is to qualify them. So like if you find that there's a mismatch in the vision in terms of these people, they want, certain things that are not kind of aligned with the company and they're not excited about the company's mission and not excited about what they do, and they see the job as yet another job, right? That they kind of just, do the bare minimum and leave. And that's not the kind of people that you want in your organization, then don't hire them. You know what I mean? Like for me specifically, like I don't think that's the kind of people that I want. You just do the bare minimum and leave. Like I want somebody that strives for excellence. And if they are really doing it, why not do it well? Right? Like if it's something worth doing, it's something worth doing well. So that's the philosophy that we have, and I think that that's what we want in the people that we hire in our team to service the clients as well. Because I believe that how you do anything is how you do everything. If they give you like a half-ass attitude, like when it comes to that thing that I talked about, which is like just doing that one thing, then obviously it's gonna parlay into the rest of the things. Like when it comes to servicing the clients, they're gonna give a half-ass attitude as well. When it comes to writing the ad copies, they're gonna give a half-ass attitude as well, right? So like realistically, I think that remains to be the biggest challenge, which is finding good people, hiring good people, and I think that a lot of companies face the same issue as well. And it's always constantly about that juggling act of like, how do you bring in customers and at the same time, make sure that you bring in good talent to service all those customers as well.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting point, because I think like, usually people would think the biggest problem will have to do with like customer acquisition or making profit, but you said people. And yesterday I was speaking to a general manager of a very well-known business in Singapore with many retail outlets, and she said the same thing. I asked her, what is your biggest challenge? People. She said also people, finding good people. And I don't know. Do you think like it's got to do with the Singapore culture today? Because she said like what she feels is that right now today the new generation, right, the younger people, maybe like people like maybe my age group. Actually, I don't know how old are you? Are you like?
I'm 28 this year.
Okay, same. In our age group,
Yeah.
in our age group, she says are very entitled. I don't know.
Yeah.
She says it in a way where people don't want to do the hard work. People just want to get a high pay, but they don't want to go above and beyond. They just want the reward, right, without the work. So I don't know, like with this it's quite a challenge. So have you guys explored other alternatives like hiring from other countries, right? Because you are an online company. Maybe you all look to Malaysia or like other countries?
Yeah, so like the current team composition, right, is like we have 4 Singaporeans at this stage. And then the rest of the 11 team members are all from the Philippines. We even tried exploring like hiring in Malaysia. We even tried exploring hiring in Indonesia. Those didn't work out. We continued hiring from the Philippines consistently. I think to allude to the first point that you were bringing up, which is like, do I think that like our generation or Gen Y or whatever you call it in Singapore are like kind of more, less hardworking and demand more without? Well, I don't necessarily think that. I think that it's not age dependent, neither is it nationality dependent, neither is it generation dependent. I think that there always lies an individual in every demographic that has a certain behavioral pattern, right? And it's all based on that individual. I don't necessarily group them based on their demographic. So I don't I think that ultimately, I've seen all sorts of people, in terms of like, oh yeah, they are older, but they expect to get, like all the rewards without doing any work as well. I have seen those, right? But I think that at the end of the day, it's about having that mindset towards, manifesting, being able to find the talent that you want in your organization. Because the more you tell yourself that, look, I can't find good people, then yeah, obviously that is what you are manifesting the whole time, right? And then yes, you won't be able to find good people because you keep telling yourself that. This is not like some, law of attraction kind of like ruru rara shit, right? But I am saying it from an angle of like, you wanna, set your mindset up for success, right? I'm not like, but here, first of all, I've never watched the law of attraction movie and the secret
The
or anything
secret,
like that.
right?
I have not watched it, by the way.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
but I have heard a lot of like NLP practitioners and a lot of like, insurance agency leaders and all these entrepreneurs talking about it. Like, but I have not watched it myself. Okay, but what I know is like, if you keep telling yourself the negative self thoughts and all these, misbeliefs that you keep telling yourself, like, one fine day you will start manifesting that and you will ultimately become that. Because
Wow.
what I have realized, right, is that mindset like can really influence the way that we behave, even though you're only visualizing it, right? Like, there was this kind of whole thing with Conor McGregor, right? Do you know who Conor McGregor is? I
Yeah,
believe
the
you do.
boxer.
Yeah, right. So he mentioned that like the way that he got his kind of his champion belt, right, was purely through visualizing it. Like, he didn't attribute it to anything else. He didn't say that it was because of his diet. He didn't say that it was because of his workout. He didn't say that because
Wow.
he was training every single day. He didn't say that it was because he was training 4 hours a week or 4 hours a day. Sorry, like nothing. He just said that the only reason why I won the championship is because I visualized that one fine day I'll step on the stage and I'll be holding the belt.
Oh my God.
So that's the power of visualization, right? Like, it can really influence the way you behave and the way your dreams become a reality. It's through visualization. So yeah, that's my take on the
There's a
whole, like,
whole
yeah,
law of
the
attraction. So
whole.
do you believe in the law of attraction?
I think to a certain extent, it has to do with the mindset. But obviously you can't just sit down and meditate and then, like, clients will come like walking through your door. No, like, you obviously got to pick up the phone, like, dial 100 times a day before you land your first prospect, and then after you land your first prospect, how do you line up 10 prospects in the pipeline so that ultimately you pitch all of them, only one will sign with you. You know what I mean? Like that, to me, it's a numbers game, right? It's a law of averages. Like, that is what I think we need to be focused on, rather than like sitting down and then meditating and then hoping that you'll get more clients. Yeah, I think that's not the right mindset to adopt.
So it's about doing the enough volume to get a result, but at the same time, you need to keep your head space in the right mind, right? So that you don't let that negative thoughts consume you. Because especially in business, you're gonna face a lot of rejections. There's gonna be a lot of like tough times. So I think what separates those that succeed and those that don't ultimately, because both are doing the work. Just like you say, it's the visualization right there. One is
Yeah,
gonna get the title. Yeah.
correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome, man.
100%.
So how have things been ever since then? Like how are you guys doing today? And what does the future look like for best marketing?
Sorry, when you said how are things like today, is with reference to, you mean the hiring or?
I think just the business in general, like in terms of like when you first started versus today, in terms of like the scale, yeah, the team, everything.
Yeah, I think it's been a while, right? I think that we tried a lot of things. Like, we kind of tried, you know, moving into a physical office space for 2 years, and then we realized that that wasn't really quite what we wanted. And then we tried hiring Singaporeans, as well, and then kind of like we realized that we're kind of limiting the pool of talent, and then that's when we started exploring hiring remote. And I think now today, I think I'm kind of like living the dream, to be honest. I mean, I feel
Wow.
okay. I'm not trying to brag or anything. Not
Why do you say living the dream? Like it's
yeah.
very
So like
interesting.
yeah.
Mm.
So the way I like to see it is like I enjoy location independence. Like I don't want to be confined to a physical location. I want to be able to work from anywhere, kind of like a digital nomad in that sense. And being able to work and travel at the same time to me is the dream, and I'm living it, right? Like I just shared with you
Wow.
off camera that we just got back from like an
Japan.
18 days trip to Japan. And then prior to the 18 days trip to Japan, we went on an 18 days trip to Canada just last month, just 2 months ago. Sorry, month
Oh
of
wow.
September. That's 2 months ago. So to me, it's like this is awesome. Like I get to travel and I get to work at the
Who
same
is running the
time.
business when you're in Canada snowboarding or Japan eating ramen? Who is running the business?
Yeah, so the team runs the business, right? And also you yourself, you can still oversee everything, obviously. And yeah, the team has to run the business. Like a business is not a business until it can run by itself. If it still requires the owner to step in, like to a certain extent, it's not 100% a sellable business, if that makes
Yes.
sense, right? So like I think this is something that the super scaling mastermind, funny plot, constantly kind of like advocates for, right? Like even though you don't want to sell the business, the objective is for you to make the business sellable, so that that option is there.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean?
and yeah.
Like in order to make it a sellable business, the business has to function and operate without the owner.
Yes. And do you have like a general manager? Like who is running the day to day? Like you said that when you are enjoying your time in Canada.
Yeah, so we don't have I'm still the general manager at this stage, right? Like
Oh.
I don't think this the organization is at a scale whereby we can have that. I mean we could technically, but we are not at that level yet. So I still oversee all the operations that happens in the business. But I think we do have, a team that manages the day-to-day stuff. Like for example, we have 3 account managers, we have 2 graphic designers, we have close to about 8 content writers, I think maybe 9 content writers, and then we have like one Facebook media buyer, one Google Ads media buyer, one Facebook Ads media buyer. So like ultimately that forms the whole composition of about 15, 16 people, including myself. And I think that is that is something that does remove a lot off my plate, right? Now it's about
Yes.
where do I spend the majority of my time on, right? To make sure that the business can continue to grow. And that's my role, right? As the entrepreneur or the owner or whatever you want to call it, excuse me, which is to be able to add more revenue streams, or kind of like bring in more clients to ring the cash register in high enough volumes so that we can afford to pay everybody's salaries and bring in more talented people to join the team. I think that's what I'm working on at the moment.
So true, man. Like just keep like leveling up your skill set and find new ways to like make better use of your time, right? So you can it's all about like leverage. Like I think you will unlock that key part, like leverage. And actually very interesting. You said out of the 15 people, you said you hired 9 content writers. So that means like most people in the team are actually writers. And why is that? Is there a
Yeah.
reason for it? Is it because like in SEO you need churn out lots and lots of content to get results?
Yeah, so I think the content game is something that is critical because there's a lot of I mean, yeah, for search engine optimization campaigns, yes, it's quite important for you to have good content and for you to write informative stuff that that gets traffic. Yeah, so for those reasons, we do need a lot of content writers in the team to be able to churn out blog articles, to be able to churn out service pages, or product pages or collections pages for Shopify stores, to make sure that we can actually attract all these organic traffic coming to the client's website.
Mm, understand. And what does the future look like for your business? Like how do you guys plan to like where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, good question. I think at least for the next 3 years, we plan to kind of be hitting that, I would say 2 mil revenue target. We're probably like at about 600K-ish now. So hopefully by coming financial year, we can hit 1 mil, and then from 1 we'll go to 2. And then ultimately in 5 years, hopefully we can hit about 5 to 10. I would say 5. I would say 5 first, right? Like let's get through step by step, right? And then obviously, in 10 years time, yeah, hopefully this is, a fully sellable business. The valuation will be probably about north of $30 million. But again, that's all kind of like, I would say like dream big, and then hopefully that because like I can tell like the current position that I'm in, right? Like I never thought that I would be able to pull this off, to be honest. Like I never
Really?
thought I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be able to work and travel at the same time, and be running a company that's bringing in like $600,000 in revenue. Like I never in my life thought this was possible. Like
What do you think
seriously.
you were supposed to be doing like at this current stage back then?
Yeah, like I thought I was still supposed to like be fresh out of school, working at a corporate job and like making like I don't know, like 5,000 a month or 6,000 a month, to be honest. Like to see that like the company is bringing in $600,000 a year, like was never something that I thought was possible beyond my wildest dreams. Seriously, right? And like I think that it's really about like dreaming big and about believing that you are able to get there, right? So it's always very important, like as what most marketers would say, always begin with the end in mind, right? Like that doesn't just apply to marketing, right? That also applies to life as well. Like what is the end outcome they are trying to achieve, and then really just being fully focused on getting there on a day-to-day basis, and then measure, whether you have hit your goals probably on like a quarterly basis, right? And then course correct along the way. I think that's something that I feel not enough people talk about. Like it's always about the shiny stuff, like what's the email subject line that I should be using, or what's like
Oh my
the
God.
new
So
what's the
true.
new Facebook hack that I could be using, Advantage Plus
Chat
placements,
GPT
or
scripts.
yeah, or downloading the new chat. Like put that aside for a moment, right? And just start with like, okay, what's the end in mind that you want to achieve? What does my dream day look like? Right? Because some people don't even know what they want to do in 5 years, right? Like, let alone they don't even know what they're gonna eat for dinner tonight. And then you ask them like, why do you see yourself in 5 years? Like they can't answer that question. But you can start with like asking like, okay, yourself, what does a dream day look like? Right? Like what time do you wake up? Like do you wake up with an alarm clock or without an alarm clock? Right? What do you do during the morning? What do you do during the afternoon? What do you do during the evening? Right? What time do you go to bed? Right? Like starting with that, what does a dream day look like? And then you kind of like extrapolate that towards your dream lifestyle and find out how much it costs you to fund that lifestyle.
Wow, well said, well said. The dream lifestyle, that is something that yeah, I have been thinking about it too as well, and yeah, I really think it helps. It's so motivating when you know what you want. I think most people they don't know what they want, man. That's why they just can't get to do it.
Yeah, like I hear this on a day-to-day basis, right? Like some people will like say like, oh, I can't do what you do. Like look, believe me, like this is not in me. Like I was not brought up this way as well.
Were your parents entrepreneurs?
For my dad, he was self-employed, but I would say that he's not really an owner because like the business can't function without him. Like it's not a sellable business, you know what I mean? If we can kind of like link back to what we were talking about, right? It's
Yeah,
not a sellable
it's a
business.
great way to define a business. It has to run without you. I think that should be the real
Yeah, this business can't run without him. So it's not a sellable business. So
So they weren't entrepreneurs.
so my mom was a housewife, so obviously that would mean that it's not really right. So then yeah, so my dad is kind of like self-employed in that sense. But I guess there is that entrepreneurial spirit to try and like kind of do something of your own. So I guess in that sense, is an entrepreneur. He is an entrepreneur in that sense. Yeah. So yeah, that's. I would say that I'm not really in an. I was not brought up in an environment to like like to be fully optimized, to be super motivated, and like wake up at 4 a.m. every day, and then
You wake up at 4 a.m. every day.
I mean now it's probably like 5 ish, 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. sometimes. But I feel like I wasn't brought up in this fashion. You know what I mean? And then I had to kind of like figure things out along the way and fix things along the way and realize that actually it doesn't matter where you come from, whether it's your upbringing, whether it's your past trauma, your past experiences, or your bad experiences or positive experiences or even like negative experiences. It doesn't really matter what your past is if you can, just settle with yourself for one moment and just understand what is the end outcome that you're trying to achieve and optimize your life towards getting there. Yeah, so that's what I found to have helped me get to that stage when I was at a point where I didn't believe that I could even do this. Honestly, like honest to God, like I wouldn't have thought that I would be able to kind of be running this business, not beyond my wildest dreams, man.
That's freaking amazing, man. Yeah, that's a testament of just believing in yourself and like you said, like having the end in mind. And what time do you go to bed? Since you wake up like so early, do you sleep very early also? Are you like those like they sleep very early, they wake up early?
Yeah, so I typically sleep at between like 8 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Wow, that's really early.
Yeah, and then like I wake up at between like 4:30 to 5 ish. Yeah. So it gets really easy because like when you sleep so early, your body typically only needs about 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And yeah, like you're ready to rock and roll at about 4:30 to 5. You just wake up naturally. You don't even have to like,
Oh,
set an alarm or anything.
but how do you like how do you have that lifestyle? Because like especially in Singapore, right? People our age or like even working people, they are used to the late nights drinking and or just enjoying like going restaurants, chit chat with friends. Like to have that kind of like regimentation is also like isn't it hard like to meet up with friends like those friends that hey you want to meet up at night or this kind of thing. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so there are those nights as well. Like there are those nights where I kind of
Uh,
like spend drinking at a friend's place or whatever, and then I go back at like 12 to 1. And then that night itself, like I would just kind of wake up a little bit later, like maybe like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. or whatever. And then the next kind of that night itself, I'll reset the whole cycle to make sure that I sleep at about 9 again, to make sure that I kind of come back to that circle, right? So like I think it's about having that fine balance or understanding like why you want to do this, right? Like for me, it's pretty easy because like I understand that look, if I want to get the highest performance out of myself, like it's through waking up early. I find that if I wake up a little bit later at maybe like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. even, I feel that my performance is not at its peak condition. Like I usually, you know, like kind of get behind, right, during my day, like when it comes to like replying of emails or like I start seeing like a flood of messages start coming in or whatever from my team. And I feel that that's not what I want. I want to be way ahead of everyone else. I want to like beat the sun up. I want to be able to kind of get like the bulk of the heavy tasks and the things that are kind of like consuming a lot of brain power done at the start of the day so that I can leave like the rest of the day for like more kind of, I would say, mindless or doesn't require that much memory RAM, so to speak, from your brain. So that's why I want to do it. So like it's at the end of the day, it's about like make the why big enough so that the how becomes easy, right? Like I'm doing this because I know that I will get like the highest performance out of myself if I were to do this.
understand. Yeah, I like that, man. Having the clear outcome and knowing yourself, like knowing your body. Like some people maybe they wake up early, is the best. They're like early bird. Some people maybe they're better at night. I think it's really understanding yourself, right? It's really.
Correct. Like there are different sleep chronotypes for everybody, right? For me, I think that I function best being that early sleeper, early riser. Even though like the aura ring tells me
Boring.
that yeah, the aura ring tells me like I'm the other way around, I'm like a bear or something. Like I'm supposed to be like sleep slightly later and then wake up slightly later. But I don't know, I split tested both and I found that
That's
yeah, I tested both and I found that this works the best for me. Like just sleeping early and waking up early, like I get so much more done. I feel, that this is a lot more productive and kind of like I'm living the best version of myself. Like I am being the best version of myself. So that's something that I would urge everyone to go and check out, like go and test sleeping early. And I know that it gets tough at the start, right? Like I was the guy that kind of slept at like slept at 5 a.m. and then I woke up at 3 p.m. the next day. Like
wow.
that happened. I lived that before. You know what I mean? Like I was
In
like an
school.
avid, I mean, mixture, like both in school and also like even after like I kind of started the business as well. So like that happened to me as well. Because like of all the distractions that you have, right? Like let's say you're watching YouTube, you're watching Netflix or whatever it might be. And that would be something that I would say, you know, you definitely want to get rid of, right? Like you don't want to have these bad habits that I just described earlier, which will be a huge distraction towards like your life, whether it's running a business or whether it's like you're working at a job, right? It's a major distraction for you.
Mm, that's very, very valuable. So, other than that, I was just about to ask, like, this is a very nice transition. So, throughout
Yeah.
starting the business, right, have you learned anything else that is particularly like helpful or advantageous other than what you just did, like split testing your waking up time? Yeah.
Wow. I would say that the biggest lesson that I've learned is that it definitely has to do with like mindset because as I alluded to earlier, never beyond my
Yeah.
wildest dreams, I thought that I would be running the business that I'm running today. But I feel that if you're able to visualize it, if you're able to live it, if you're able to work towards it and measure it on a day-to-day basis, I think that you would be one step closer than you actually, think you are. Like if you think about it this way, right? If you just improve 1% every single day, like you will already be 3.5 times better by the end of the year. And if you do that across 10 years, you would be what, 30 times better than where you started. And that's something that I feel like, you know, it's 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 literally what happened to me, right? Across the span of 4 years. Like I just basically became 1% better every day. And after these 4 years, I became 12 times better. I had 12 times more resilience, 12 times more skill sets, 12 times more kind of like in a way earning power or whatever you want to call it, right? Like all these add up, right, over time. And as long as you strive be 1% better every single day, I think that like you are just living the best version of yourself and you ultimately get the goals that you set out for yourself.
So it's really about having a clear goal, being consistent, right? And making that minor improvements every day. And I think most important is to never give up on, like, stay on the path. Don't like stray
Yeah,
off. Yeah.
correct. Like, but also know when to call quits, right? Like, for instance, like if you don't have product market fit and you have like invested like your life savings into that kind of product or service, or I mean, ideally product, right? I think, because service is technically not much capital upfront. Like if you have invested your life savings into it and it's still not working out, I think it's time to know when to call quits also, right? It's also being able to assess what is your risk tolerance level as an entrepreneur, and also like when you have to when you have to stop as well. Otherwise, like you just keep sinking further in, then there's no point in that as well.
Yeah, you need to have the foresight to know when to call it quits. So
Yeah.
Understand. And what kind of like tools do you guys use to run your business? Like platform or tools?
You mean like software? Like,
Yeah, software, things like that, yeah.
so we use a lot of Google Drive. That's
Google Drive.
for storage, right? For system
Amazing.
management,
Yeah.
for managing the files, clients' files, everything. And then we have Asana for project management software. We use High Level as well for the CRM and the landing page and everything. What else we got? Yeah, I think that's primarily it, man.
Okay. And
Zapier as well.
yeah. And how about like accounting software, those kind? Like do you use like
Xero. Yeah.
oh yeah, that's like QuickBooks, right? It's like a very popular one.
Yeah, Xero, QuickBooks. I think these are the most popular softwares that are out there.
Gotcha. And do you do like the accounting yourself, or do you have like a outsourced accountant?
Yeah, so we have this like outsourced accountant that we pay like every year to go and file the, what do we call it, right? The IRAS thing.
IRAS, yeah,
Yeah, so we will hire an outsourced accountant for that.
gotcha. And what have been like the most influential I know you're not gonna say the secret, but what has been the most influential books, podcasts, or resources that have really helped you to get to where you are today since you started?
Yeah, so I would say that my digital marketing mentor, right, which is Sabri Subi, his book is called Sell Like
The
Crazy.
Australian.
Yeah, his book is called Sell Like Crazy. So I think that book was what I read in the first year of business to really fuel my growth. It's an amazing book. I recommend you guys go and check it out. And then his course, which I bought as well, it's called Quantum Growth by King Kong. So you can go and check out that course. There are some other books that I think most people in the marketing community already know, like $100 million leads, $100 million offers. Um, there are some books by Grant Cardone that I consume as well. Sell or Be Sold. Uh, and a couple of his other books, right? Like when it comes to sales. What else? I think Deep Work is a good book. Deep Work. Uh, yeah. I can't really think of any other books. I actually rarely read. Uh, I actually rarely read. I watch more YouTube videos to learn from other entrepreneurs. And I listen to Spotify podcasts to learn as well.
What's your favorite YouTube channel or like podcast for business learning?
I would say at this stage is Alex Hormozi. I think it's the most digestible and the most kind of like easy to like kind of relate to as well, because I think he makes it like a little bit holistic, right? It's not just business. Like sometimes he talks about like he's working out with someone and then he shares with you like how to build bigger calves. Then I'm like, and that's something that I like as well, right? Like because fitness is a big part of my life as well, and I think that he blends it all in together. And he's very transparent in that regard. So I think Alex Hormozi's podcast on Spotify, I listen to that. And then I think Peng Jun's YouTube channel, I think is great. I think there are a lot of golden nuggets there as well. I think these are the top two.
And just now you
I mean,
mentioned,
of course,
yeah,
Sabri Subi, right? That's my digital marketing mentor. I learned primarily everything with regards
yeah,
to digital
you, you,
marketing
men-
from.
you mentioned that Sabri Subi is your mentor. Like, do you personally actually have hop on a mentorship call with him before, and have you met him before in person?
Yeah, so what he does in his program, right, is that on a weekly basis he answers all the questions that you have
Oh, himself.
himself. Not augmented reality, not virtual reality. It's him. It's not a
Not one of
holographic.
the
Not
customers like
AI. No. It's
customer
not AI.
success
No,
coaches.
no, 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 no. It's him personally. So like on a weekly basis, he would answer to that in the Facebook group. It came kind of like as in a way, a bonus, because it wasn't promised when you bought it, but as a bonus, he hops on these weekly calls for about 1 to 2 hours long every single Friday. And he answers any questions that you have, like whether it's regarding your funnels, whether it's regarding like your clients, funnels that you want him to have a look at as well. He even, so I feel that he has over delivered, right? And
Wow.
yeah, he really, yeah,
He really
to
cares
me,
about his clients.
yeah, like that's why he has built such a huge business for himself, right? I think his agency is turning over well over like 40 million a year.
Woo. And he still has the time to come into the Zoom calls. That's like, wow, that's insane time management. Wow.
Yeah,
Love it.
I have only the utmost respect for him.
The next one, the Singaporean Subway Supi with hair.
No, I think that he's building something that's quite different, right? Because like I'm of the belief that it's kind of like work from home setup, and then he obviously has set up, he has a whole like setup in Australia, in Melbourne. So I think what he's building is quite different. Yeah.
And if you can give like one advice, right, to somebody that wants to start a business, like what kind of advice would you give this person?
Wow. I think that the problem that, whether it's the problem or whether it's the benefit or whether it's the pain point that you're solving for others, has to be big enough, such that there is a starving demand for it. If let's say you want to be an entrepreneur, like serve a starving market instead of serving a kind of like, a market that is not that, in that sense, red ocean. Like I would rather operate in a market that is red ocean than operate in a market that is blue ocean, right? So like find a starving market. That's my only advice. Like don't serve a market that is like, completely new product, but there is no demand for it. Then what's the point? You know what I mean? Like you want to assess whether there's a demand for that product or that service and ensure that there's a starving market for it. That's my
And you
advice.
said you rather do a business in a red ocean than a blue ocean. Like that's quite
Correct.
contradictory, right? Even though most people
Correct.
are like, oh, you need to find a blue ocean.
Correct. And I believe that is important because when it's red ocean, right, it means that there's money flowing in the market. And that's why it's competitive because there are customers that are ready for you to to take, right? There's money flowing in the market. That's why it's red ocean. Whereas if you go to a blue ocean, it's a super niche market, but you know what I mean? Like it's the TAM is so small, the total addressable market is so small, it can't scale. When you try to run ads, right, after like 2 weeks, can't scale anymore because you've already attacked the whole total addressable market. You don't want to operate in such niches whereby the TAM is so tiny, right?
Yeah.
You wanna operate at a level where there's enough scale for you to continue scaling up ad spend, for you to acquire more customers, for you to be able to, solve a big pain point in the market or a starving market or a market that is looking for a specific benefit. Then there's scalability. Then you can
Mm-hmm.
go well above the 6 figures or 7 figures or whatever. So that's my take.
Yeah. Starving market, right? Like find a problem that people are already willing to pay money for. I think a lot of people when they first start out, especially they just wanna have that big AI. Right now, AI is everybody want to do this AI business, have the best VR software and headset, but then they don't even know whether this is something to be for. Huge mistake, right? Huge mistake. So very, very valuable. So where can people learn